Okay, in this video, we're going to look at how to um, handle the students' particulars of theory and practical experience. So we, we will looking at how to set it up in a way that it makes building out transcript easier. And if you recall from the previous video on transcripts, um, you realize that when you build a transcript, this information is the last table that shows. Sometimes it's required that you just have the particulars of theory and practical science. For example, this student here, um, the summary of theory and practical instruction periods is the table that is shown here and is having the only four data. This was just a test that we did previously to demonstrate how it works in the video. But let's look at how we can properly set up this table so that the information here is valid. So to do that, the place where you set up this kind of information for every student is at the practical setup page. At the practical setup page, you realize that you have to select a program, a class, and then you have to select a student that you want to deal with. So I have the student selected, and if I select a different student, I get no data here. So for a transcript for this student will have no particulars of theory and practical experience. But then you can add it by just selecting the particular theory and then populating the information about the minimum hours and then the days of practicals. But as you can see, you realize that when you look at the table here, there's a column for practical experience for every course, and then that is to make the work easier so that you don't have to be typing those information. In fact, you already have the minimum hours, actual hours, practical experience, days and hours. So it means that if you have this information set up correctly, then once you click on add like this or like that, any information that comes here is automatically what is required of the student or what you need. So you only have to push it to the students and then it will be added to the students transcript. So we're going to look at how we can properly set up this table so that the information that comes here is good and we can just use it right away without actually having to make any modifications to the minimum hours and days and hours of the training. So to do that one, you have to go to the course setup page. That is where you set up the course information for the system. So I'll click on the course setup page. It will load it. I'll have to pick a program again and select a class. I think the student that I want to deal with is Nigerian 17, but it doesn't really matter. This part here gives me the 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 course structure for RGN 17 for semester by semester. So semester one, semester two, semester three, up to the last semester. That is what they are going to be dealing with. These are the courses they're going to be um, um, dealing with for every semester. So, but when you look at this side here, this is a global course repository. This is where you have all the courses on the system. So this is where you pick courses and then you add a class for a semester. So this is the exact place where you can actually handle the data that we are looking for. So as you can see, you have the name of the course, the code, credit hours. We have minimum hours, actual hours, practical experience, days and hours. So um, what you can do is from here you can pick the courses that you want to set, like you can set up the information correctly. So I can just pick a program like African Study. I don't think I have that information on the system, so I can add it. I can just go to add new course, then I can just add African Studies, and then I'll give it a course code of the valid course code AF001 or something, and then the credit hours that is mostly or uh, the recommended credit hours. Now I can see which programs it should be tied to, so I can just type maybe RGN, and then maybe I can just type registered midwifery or something, and then here I can choose to set up the particulars of practical experience by typing the hours, minutes, and stuff, or I can just leave it. So I'll click on save, and then it says one class one added. So now when I search through my lesson and look for African studies, I should be able to find African studies. It's still not there. So maybe I need to reload the courses. So I'll pick a different. So from here I can pick any course. Let's say statistics. And then once I pick status, I can choose to set up the information correctly. As you can see, stats doesn't have any particulars of theory and practical experience. So I can put the minimum hours of stats that should be on the transcript. So I can say 14 hours, 14 hours, and then I'll make the actual hours 32, and then I can make the practical part, practical experience. I can say this medical nursing, and then the number of days. I'll make the number of days 20, 20, and I'll make the number of hours 160. Now I'll click on save. So as you can see, here it shows the information that I just added. It shows there. So I can do the same for all the courses on the system on the platform, so that when I go to the practical setup part to set up practical data for any of the students. So I think I worked on stat, so I'll just search for stat. Um, to do that, I'll just click up here on the header part here and I'll type Control plus F. Then I'll look for statistics, stats. As you can see, stats comes in here and then it comes with the information that I entered previously. So when I click on add, what is populated here is valid. I don't have to change anything. I only have to push it to the student practical information table and it's added. Now, when I go to the transcript page and I want to build transcript for the students, you realize that down it comes with the data and then the stats part is also there. So automatically, once you populate those information and you add it to the student's practical experience table, once you generate the transcript, it's automatically added to the student information here. So now, as I keep adding and keep pushing it to the student um, transcript or practical experience table, anytime I build a transcript, it will also show the information. So that is how you deal with, or that's how you're able to create or generate this table. But if the student doesn't really need this information to show on the transcript, then you have to make sure that at that page you have to remove all the information for that particular student. So now I'm doing it for Abdullah Muhammad. So I've taken it out. So if I go back to the transcript or the academic page and I click on transcript and I try to generate transcript for that student, it should come with no summary of theory and practical instruction period. So now you can see that it has no data for that one. So if you don't need that information, then you don't populate it. But if you need it, then you populate it. But then you have to make sure that you have already entered the correct ones at the course setup. So at least when you are populating it in the students' practical experience table, you don't have to do much work by changing the values. Okay, so that ends the video on how you can generate the student summary of theory and practical instruction periods table as part of the transcripts.